Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to another Jets Media live stream. Today is unfortunately not Victory Monday, but for some reason it feels that way, even though we lost in heartbreaking fashion. I'm very happy right now based on what my Jets team did yesterday, especially Zach Wilson competing with the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady. We're going to dive deep into this game. Jack and I got a lot to talk about, whether it's Zach Wilson's progression this year, the decision of that 4th and 2. There's a lot of things that we're going to get into from that game yesterday. Preview the Bills-Jets game, the last game of the season, and then we got a whole offseason to get into. The draft, free agency, there's so much that's going to be happening. And, man, 2022, I feel like is going to be a good season for the New York Jets based on the offseason and the season as a whole. So, Jack, how you feeling today, my man? And how you doing, man, overall?
I'm feeling good, man. Like you said, it's not quite the Victory Monday that we were hoping for, but let's be real, we weren't really expecting a win going into this game. We fought hard throughout the whole game, and we were, winning that football game until there were 15 seconds left on the clock. And, that's just typical Tom Brady fashion. Still killing the Jets on a different team, but I don't hate him nearly as much as I used to when he was on the Patriots. So all in all, it's kind of a weird loss where we played well overall, and I've never been, quite happy about a loss, but I'm definitely not upset that we lost this game by any means.
Yeah, you put it beautifully.
There's that one moment.
Yeah, exactly. Like we Jets fans need to realize our expectations at 12:59 yesterday p.m. before they kicked off. If you told me that we're going to be beating the Buccaneers the entire game until Tom Brady comes back and win it, I'll be like, sign me up. That sounds sick. Are you kidding me? Like during the stream yesterday, during my live reaction, I said, if right when Tom Brady got the ball with 90 yards to go, I'm like, yeah, guys, we lost. Like, the game's over. Like, here we go. And it happened. And I'm like, wow. And whatever. It's really not the end of the world. But we're going to get into everything. Braxton Berrios has been thriving. He was actually the second highest graded wide receiver in the NFL yesterday. He's had an 89.9 grade since week 12, I believe. He's just been playing such great football for the New York Jets. He needs to be extended. According to U Stadium, the Jets have been starting extension talks. I don't know how reliable that source is, but let's really hope that happens. So, guys, welcome into the chat. Hope you guys are enjoying this Monday. Like Jack and I said, it's not necessarily a Victory Monday. If it was, we'd be popping champagne because we beat Tom Brady. But unfortunately, the Jets fell short. But there's a lot of things to be excited about for this Jets future. The foundation is here. The coaching staff seems to be, trending in the right direction. And I'm really excited to dive deep into the stream. So if you're new to the stream, don't forget to smash that like button. We got 9 likes with 20 of you guys in here. So smash that thumbs up button, whether you're watching this on replay or you're watching it live. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Hope you guys are enjoying your Monday and all had a happy new year, of course. So Jack, let's talk about Zach Wilson, because I actually just uploaded a video on Jets Media right before the stream started about his progression. I broke down some of my favorite throws of his, and I personally think that was the best Zach Wilson has looked this entire season based on his ability to stay within the pocket, the timing throws in rhythm, the confidence, the ability to convert on third down, the zip, doing type of throws where it feels like it's sustainable in comparison to the Titans game where he showed the flash of arm talent, but you say okay, that's cool, but you're not gonna be able to do that all the time. We need some stuff that's consistent that you can say that is an NFL style throw. We saw that time in and time after. And there was a point yesterday where Zach Wilson was outperforming Tom Brady. Obviously, he got the better of Tom Brady he got the better of Zach at the end of the game, but I was blown away from Zach. I'm really excited to dive deep into him. So what's your overall thoughts from the rookie performance yesterday against Todd Bowles' defense?
Yeah, I thought it was a big-time performance from Zach Wilson, man. I mean, there was, moments that stick out through my head. I think it might have been one of the completions to Kenny Yeboah, or it was either Kenny Yeboah or Berrios. But either way, I just remember this one play. Zach threw it very low, but he threw it, and this is exactly what Daryl Johnston, the color guy, was saying after the play, and I agreed with it. Zach put it in the only spot that it could have been thrown in order for it to be completed to a New York Jet.
That's the Berrios.
That's an NFL type throw. That's throwing somebody open, or the idea that that's what open is in the NFL. That's adjusting to the game at the next level. And it's against an elite defense like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I think that it's, a big time performance from Zach Wilson. He was taking the boring plays, the rhythm plays, as you put it. He wasn't really trying to, make something out of nothing and, get himself into too much trouble. It seemed like the ball was flying out of his hands accurately, quickly, precisely, just everything we've been wanting to see from Zach Wilson. We saw yesterday, man, and even plays stick out in my mind, like, 3rd and 9, and he's scrambling and he, just throws the ball away. He evades, 2 or 3 sack attempts during that process, throws it away, and doesn't get a negative play for his team. So just little things like that. It's just so good to see him improve, albeit it's taken a long time to get a game like this from Zach Wilson, where we can finally all be like, pretty much satisfied across the board with the play that we saw from him. It was so fantastic to see, man. So I think that, this is a great building block for Zach. I'm just upset that there's only one more game on the schedule. But yeah, man, very, very happy with Zach's performance yesterday.
Yeah, so I think I got a clip of the throw you were talking about, Jack. I don't know the quality, but take a look at this throw from Zach Wilson to Braxton real quick. This is not it.
That's not it.
That is not it. That was the Keelan Cole. Okay, I got to find it. Because I have them all downloaded. Hold on one second. I know the exact throw that you are talking about. Is this it? Because I just broke down his film, and everything we saw from Zach was maybe this is
the throw and flag on that if you want it, but look at this. I mean, that's the only spot that ball can be thrown and caught. So really,
yeah.
Yep.
That was it. So he just had a flick to his wrist, sidearm. Like, that's a style of throws where you can like be jaw dropped. Because when I watched that live, I didn't think it was completed because the angle we had, you can't tell if it was on the ground or not. And the Bucs defender was like, incomplete. And I'm like, was that a completed pass? Because that was ridiculous how Zach Wilson just fit that in. Just the zip, the timing, and the most impressive part about Zach Wilson to me in particular, Jack, yesterday was his anticipation. I think that's a trait that you need to have in this league if you want to be considered a great quarterback, is anticipating where the receiver is going to be, throwing the ball 5 or 7 yards before the receiver's there, that type of thing, the feel for the game. And that's what we saw from Zach Wilson. That's something that Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, all the great quarterbacks just do with ease. They don't even think twice about it. They throw the ball, and all of a sudden you're like, why is that ball thrown? And then the receiver just comes out of nowhere and it's right in his hands. And I feel like that's something that we saw from Zach Wilson. And another thing that impressed me yesterday is definitely the talent around Zach Wilson. That easily could have been a nightmare performance from Zach. He was down his top 3 receivers. Michael Carter goes down, so he's down his top 2 running backs. He's down to his 3rd string left tackle, his backup center. His top 2 tight ends are down. And he showed the ability to elevate the offense around him. And Mike LaFleur deserves a ton of credit because he was scheming guys open. That beautiful play action where Zach Wilson hides the ball behind his hip and Daniel Brown's wide open on the left. That was a mixture of Zach Wilson's beautiful play fake and a Mike LaFleur just masterclass of a play. And I feel like Zach Wilson showed the ability to do just that. And I feel like that's a really, really good sign. And obviously, the most important piece to Zach Wilson's progression is 4 straight games with no interceptions. He's the first Jets rookie quarterback to ever have 4 straight games without an interception after having 9 interceptions in his first 6 games. Now he has 2 interceptions in his last 6 games. So that shows the progression. Now he has a clean, even slate of a ratio of 12 total touchdowns to 12 total turnovers. That's all you can ask. Whenever Zach Wilson came back from injury, the only thing I wanted to see from him, clean up the turnovers, use your legs, and show the talent that you have to not just roll to your right and roll to your left and make flashy plays, but stay within the pocket. Show us that you're an NFL quarterback and you're working on your footwork, working on your mechanics, and working on the ability to hit the short intermediate throws, because he did not miss one easy throw yesterday, which was absolutely phenomenal. So what's your thoughts about basically Zach Wilson cutting down the turnovers, having 4 straight games with no interceptions, and the anticipation, and all basically just piggybacking off what I had to say?
Yeah, of course, man. I just think that it's great to see improvement from Zach, albeit at the end of the season. But I think it's fantastic to see improvement, especially against Tom Brady, especially against a great defense, especially against our former head coach in Todd Bowles. Yesterday was an important game. It was an important game for the Buccaneers. It was an important performance for us, albeit we didn't win the game. We made life very difficult for Tom Brady all day. And Zach Wilson was doing his thing pretty much all day. That's another one thing I will say, and this kind of segues me into a good point, is that one thing that we have struggled with, and this is on Zach as well, obviously, because it's on the whole offense. I feel like we struggle with playing a complete game. We have that first half, that electrifying first half. We have that good momentum. I know we did get in the we didn't go scoreless in the second half like we have certain games this season. But I feel like we are not the same team in the second half. So that is something that I would like to see Zach improve on, is take that energy from the first half and come out and be the same player in the second half and win the football game. So I think that if there is something that I could kind of nitpick on, it's that, just because that's kind of a trend we've seen all year, is just not being able to finish a game. And that obviously yesterday is kind of on the defense as well. It's not all on the offense, but we weren't kind of the same electric offense that we were in the first half yesterday. In the second half as we were in the first half. So other than that, I really think that it's fantastic to see Zach, like you said, 4 straight games and no interceptions. Fantastic. The fact that he's doing all this now with, so many injured starters all over the place, whether it's, in the receiving core or on the offensive line, running backs, all over the offense, there's injuries, and Zach is just having to, go with whoever's around him. And, the fact that he's not making the big mistakes as much as he was at the beginning of the season at all is absolutely fantastic, and it's all you could ask for. And like you said, the ratio is even now, 12 total touchdowns to 12 total turnovers. And I like that we're counting the rushing touchdowns there, because other than that, it might not look very good, but we got those rushing touchdowns in there. And I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm telling myself that he's going to work out, that he's going to be good, that he's going to thrive, because we need it, man. We need it. It cannot be another Darnold type situation here. So I'm feeling good about Zach after a performance like yesterday, for sure.
Yeah, and we're not here, telling you guys, crowning Zach Wilson as the franchise quarterback and the guaranteed future. We're just here saying that the progression is real, and there's no denying that he's improved over the course of the season. That's all you can ask from a rookie quarterback. There's still a lot of things that Zach needs to work on this offseason, whether it's the consistency, playing all 4 quarters like Jack mentioned, staying within the offense. There's a lot of things that Zach has to work on if he really wants to be the franchise guy. I don't want to prematurely crown him the next quarterback for the next 10 years until he proves it. And I feel like this ending of the season gives us an opportunity to go in the offseason with a lot of excitement heading into year number 2, because the thing that really gets me excited is Zach Wilson having the continuity factor. He's going into the same system in year 2. Mike LaFleur has proved to be an offensive coordinator that's developing over time as well. We're going to add even more explosive playmakers around Zach Wilson to add on to Elijah Moore, to add on to Corey Davis, to add on to Michael Carter. So this team's going to get better around Zach Wilson, with Zach in the same system in year number 2. He doesn't have to learn an entire offense again. He doesn't have to learn the NFL speed again. He's going to feel comfortable from week 1 instead of week 1 being like everything's new. Oh my gosh, okay, what's the play call? What is happening? I'm in the NFL. Everything's going to be slowed down from him right out of the gate. So that's a really thing. That's why I'm so excited for this offseason, because that Joe Douglas is going to add more explosive playmakers around him, whether that's early in the draft, middle of the draft, late in the draft, free agency, trade market. I think the Jets need to get another premier playmaker in this offense, whether that's early in the draft, whether that's free agency. I don't care how it has to happen, but you need to add to the playmakers to really surround Zach Wilson, because I'm looking at what the Cincinnati Bengals are doing right now with Joe Burrow. And man, that looks fun. Having Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Taj Boyd and Joe Mixon, like, we're one receiver away. And I don't want to, Corey Davis can be, Taj Boyd in a way. T. Higgins can be Elijah Moore, or T. Higgins can, and then maybe we can get our Jamar Chase in this year's draft, drafting the best receiver in the college football. And we got Joe Mixon as our Michael Carter. So it's a vision that I see, and I feel like the Jets are in a really good position to do that, and we'll see what happens. But outside of Zach Wilson, there's a lot of things that to talk about, whether it's the really good play of Elijah Vera Tucker, as someone in the chat just mentioned. Where was that? Caden says, Richard, did you hear AVT only allowed 1 pressure at an overall PFF grade of 90? He's legit is a beast. Yeah, he missed 1 week comes back, absolutely obliterates people.
Let's
if you
go.
watch that Michael Carter 55-yard run, that's all ABT and the offensive line, and of course Michael Carter's patience and footwork and speed. But Elijah Vera Tucker had a great game. The offensive line had a good game. Dan Feeney filling in for the center role. Okay. Chumadoga filling in at left tackle. We rushed for 150 yards on the third best rushing defense in the NFL with Austin Walter and Ty Johnson as our lead backs after Carter got 55 of those yards to start off. Which is backup awesome. Yards. Yeah. So what's your thoughts about the offensive line that we're banged up? Connor McGovern goes down. Last week, we did not have our starting guards in LDT and ABT, and they had the most rushing yards in the NFL in the entire season. And now this week, George Fant goes down. Chumadoga steps in. Dan Feeney's the starting center, and we rushed for 150 yards on the third best rushing defense in the NFL without Carter and Coleman throughout the entire game.
I think that comes down to coaching, man. I mean, shout out to the offensive line coaching staff and just the Robert Saleh and all the offensive coaching staff in general, because when you have depth players that are going in and being productive, and I know some people out there are gonna be like, what, Chumadoga got blown up yesterday.
Yeah, he was terrible in the past game.
I understand that, but yeah, exactly. As you said, we got however many yards, 150 plus yards in the rushing game on the ground. So, I mean, these guys are clearly doing something right. And that comes down to coaching, man. When you get these, second, third string guys that can come into the game and be effective. Connor McDermott, let's not forget, he's a receiving threat as well.
He was lined up at the swing tackle throughout the entire game at tight end.
Connor McDermott is a receiving threat in the red zone for sure. And shout out to the coaching staff, man, because that's coaching, getting these, second and third string players ready to perform at a high level. That's coaching. So shout out to the coaching staff and shout out to these players, obviously, as well.
No doubt. Absolutely. The coaching staff deserves a ton of credit. And I feel like there's a lot of things to be excited about. So, guys, we're going to take a quick break. And as we hear a word from the sponsor of Jets Media, which is indeed DraftKings Sportsbook. So we're going to be right back. It's going to take a quick 60-second break. And we'll be right back after we hear a quick word from the sponsor of Jets Media, once again, DraftKings Sportsbook. Before we go any further on today's video, I got to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of Jets Media, DraftKings. It won't be long until you can place bets right here in New York on your favorite sports on the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app. You know DraftKings by their daily fantasy contests. Well, now their expertise is going to be in sports betting so that fans everywhere can get in on the action. DraftKings Sportsbook offers everything you would want in the sports betting app. From player props to same-game parlays, they have it all. In just a short time, you'll be able to place bets on your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home with one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps, DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And best of all, you can withdraw and deposit your cash whenever you want. So check out DraftKings and use my promo code to let them know that I sent you. That's promo code JETSMedia. Once again, that's promo code JETS Media. DraftKings Sportsbook, coming soon to New York State. Shout out to DraftKings Sportsbook once again, guys. Use my code down below. If you guys just go out there, download DraftKings Sportsbook, and you guys can use my code JETSMedia. It's not legal yet in New York, but it will be here soon. It would mean a lot to me, guys. All you got to do, it's free. Download DraftKings Sportsbook. Use my code. And if you do, let me know in the chat, and I'll give you guys a shout out for downloading it and using my code. Appreciate that for sure. So the next thing I want to talk about, Jack, is definitely this. 4th and 2 controversy. This was the big thing that basically lost us the game. I have an interesting take on it. I know that a lot of people have interesting takes on it. We heard the SNY post-game show have the bizarrest takes ever that I usually, I respect those guys, and I actually like what they say besides what they had to say yesterday. I think that was the boneheaded. So basically, I'm going to break it down what happened, and then we'll talk about, what the situation. So 4th and 2, it's basically 4th and 1.5, right? So Robert Saleh, his mindset is to go for it because if you get this first down, the game is over. So in his mind, I'd rather go for it and pick up 2 yards and beat Tom Brady rather than kick the field goal and letting Tom Brady go down the field because he knows that he's going up against the greatest quarterback of all time and he wants to just win the game right there. And I personally agree with that. In the moment when I was watching it live, I said, go for it. We're versing Tom Brady. You need to get this because we're not winning, honestly, unless we convert this. Because if you give Tom Brady an opportunity, yes. And listen, if they kick the field goal, we go up 7. Tom Brady goes down the field, he ties the game, or he probably goes for 2 like they did. They got 8 points, would have lost the game anyway. So I like the aggressiveness to go for it in particular. For me personally, I agree with Salah's mindset there. But the problem was the play call. But we find out it was a big miscommunication. And the miscommunication was the play was called, and what the play was is an option. And it's designed, and they ran the same exact play against Houston. So what the play is, the quarterback goes up, and it's his job to read whether it's going to be an end around to Braxton Berrios or quarterback sneak. And the miscommunication part of it, and Robert Saleh took accountability, and it's on the coaching staff, of course, and Zach Wilson, because he didn't read it right, is Zach has an option to either go QB sneak or hand it off to Braxton. But the coaching staff wanted it to be to Braxton Berrios on an end around, and they did not tell Zach that this is not an option. Don't even consider that. It has to be handed off to Braxton. And that's on the coaching staff for the miscommunication. And that resulted in Zach Wilson seeing that there was an open A gap, which there was. But I don't like that decision going up against Vita Vea and Steve McClendon. And they closed it really quick. And I thought that in the moment, I'm like, that was the worst play call ever. But we find out that they didn't call that. It was on Zach Wilson to read it improperly. So it was a rookie mistake. It was a coaching mistake. And I'd rather it be a mistake in this point of our New York Jets, season when have 4 wins. We're not playing for anything. And the coaching staff and the quarterback learns from that mistake rather than just a terrible play call. And it was just an inept, play call on Mike LaFleur's part. So it was a complete miscommunication. Some argue that they should have kicked a field goal. Some argue they should have went for it. I hear both sides. So Jack, what's your overall thoughts of the 4th and 2? Do you agree with the decision to go for it and the play call? And the most frustrating part about this whole thing, Jack, is if you watch it back, and if it was to Braxton Berrios, if it was handed off, the game would have been over, and the Jets would have won the game.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. So it's interesting, right? Because there's so many different ways you can look at it. Obviously, it was a miscommunication between Zach Wilson and the coaching staff, but that's ultimately on the coaching staff. It's not on the rookie quarterback, It's also on the coaching staff for going for it in the first place when I think that you should have just kicked it. I tweeted, I'm not ready for the weekly Saleh blunder, ... kick the field goal. 30 seconds later, I see like the most horrible play of all time. And then I tweet, I forget exactly what I tweeted, but I was just incredibly angry and just, totally disgusted by the call. And I know this is making me nuts right now, just reliving this in my head. But listen, man, I think the mistake is ultimately on the coaching staff for even going out there in the first place. I think that obviously you can say there's a miscommunication or whatever. And if it went to Berrios, we could have won the game. I think that we're in the lead all game. We take the points when we can get them. Pinheiro has been money. We send Pinheiro out there to do his thing. And then we, force overtime and at least give us the chance to win the game. So I feel like, like I said, there's so many different ways you could look at it. Part of me does like the idea of, going out there and trying to win the game and executing it and doing your thing, all gas, no break, all that shit, right? But, I feel like the safe move, the smart move, the best move in order to win that game would have been to take the 3 points, get your defense out there, and make Brady have to beat you. And he probably would have, done what he did anyway, and we would have gone into overtime. But at least we get the chance to win the game. I think that, the fact that it just boils down to a miscommunication is so New York Jets, and it's so heartbreaking that we had to deal with that, So after such a good game, such a fun to watch game, right? The offense was fun to watch. Everybody was like, yo, what the hell is this offense? Mike LaFleur looks absolutely incredible. He's really probably the most improved guy within the organization, player, coach, anybody. He's really come into his own for sure. But, the fact that it just a game like that ended in such a typical New York Jets fashion, it just broke my heart, man. So I feel like we definitely should have kicked the 3. But like I said, there's so many different angles you can look at this play. It was a total fluke play. If it went to Berrios, we could have at least gotten the first down, but he probably could have walked right into the end zone for sure. And who knows, man. So it is what it is. All you have to do now is just move on from it and try not to think about it again, man, because that really is just a blunder. I think it's a total blunder, and Robert Saleh needs to limit those blunders, man. I feel like every week he has, something questionable that goes wrong, whether it's we have to burn a couple timeouts when we shouldn't, or, this play in yesterday's game. I feel like he's definitely got to, make less errors as a head coach for sure, and he's got to be held accountable. Obviously, he's running the whole ship. So yeah, I think the 3 points should have been attempted for sure, man. But it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. It is what it is indeed. And the worst part about this is like this one play is like overshadowing the beautiful game that we got to watch and the positive energy from Zach Wilson and even the defensive players like Brandon Echols and Michael Carter II, and even Bryce Hall had a bunch of awesome plays. And like this one play is overshadowing it. Well, it is because that was the deciding factor of who wins the game or not. But, it's just frustrating. You can't go back in time and change it. I think the coaching staff needs to really, go into the offseason and understand that, this can't happen again, the miscommunication. If you're going to go for it on fourth down, it has to be clean. You have to tell your rookie quarterback that, listen, I know there's two options on this play, but it has to go to Braxton. Don't even consider the quarterback sneak. It's going to Braxton no matter what. And they did not do that. I guess they thought that Zach Wilson was going to do it naturally, and he didn't, and he decided to go for it. He saw the A gap open. And listen, I guess I'm more on the side of like the whole John Harbaugh situation with the Ravens going for it for 2 and not getting it. I kind of like the aggressive approach, and I feel like Saleh has that same mindset of rather winning it right there and instead of going into overtime or going into this, especially when you're going up against a Hall of Famer like Tom Brady. Right when we did not get it, though, I said in my head, like, yeah, game is over. Tom Brady's coming, marching down the field. I don't know how he's going to do it, but the Jets are going to lose, and Tom Brady's going to do it in dramatic fashion, which is exactly what he did. And it was just like, it was whack. So we're going to move on from that 4th and 2 play because it does make us all sick, because that is the one thing that's frustrating that it had to happen like that. But some awesome things. Brandon Echols and Michael Carter II, spelled Michael wrong, had signature plays against the GOAT. And that was awesome to finish off the first half, excuse me.
Brandon Echols, what do you mean? You spelled it right?
Yeah, I just fixed it.
Oh, okay.
I fixed it. Brandon Echols intercepts actually before that, Michael Carter II sacks Tom Brady, and then Brandon Echols picks off Tom Brady, which leads to an Eddie Pinheiro 51-yard field goal. That sequence was crazy. So, and also got to give a shout out to Bryce Hall, because Bryce Hall, I think this was a really, really good game for Bryce Hall, because it wasn't a perfect game. He got beat on a touchdown, but he had to go up against an all-pro receiver, Mike Evans. And he was playing great football, going toe-to-toe with him, stride for stride, getting clutch pass deflection after clutch pass deflection. Even Michael Carter II had a clutch pass deflection late in the game. And obviously, Tom Brady's torched us if you look at the stats. But I just really feel like the development of Brandon Echols getting a second career interception, Michael Carter II sacking Tom Brady and having a crucial pass deflection, and Bryce Hall continuing to develop into a starting cornerback in this league should give Jets fans a lot of excitement for the future of the secondary. So all your thoughts about the secondary, even though that, it was not perfect by any means. We gave Rob Gronkowski too many opportunities over the middle. The linebackers were I think the linebackers coverage over the middle is the biggest issue right now. But I feel like the edge of the corners have been doing their job.
I thought Gronk was like one bad hit away from like just crumbling into pieces. Like, how is Gronk looking like 25-year-old Gronk yesterday against us, man? I mean, it was just that was a very frustrating aspect, because again, we're still dealing with the same issues that have been, plaguing us all year. We cannot figure out how to cover a tight end to save our asses. And I guess you're right. I guess that comes down to the linebackers and their ability to stick with, tight ends over the middle. Because we just get absolutely burned by tight ends over the middle of the field, man, on a consistent basis. So that's something that's definitely got to be addressed in the offseason. We're going to need to, draft some coverage linebackers is what we're going to need to do. Some really, quick, speedy guys that can keep up with these tight ends. And, if not, get in there and deflect some passes, then, make sure these guys are wrapped up after a 4 or 5 yard dump off over the middle. We just give up way too many yards after the catch as well to these tight ends. And obviously a guy like Gronk, who's one of the greatest to ever do it, he's just gonna eat every yard he can. So that was definitely something that plagued us yesterday. But Michael Carter II, Brandon Echols, obviously they had it wasn't a perfect game by any means, but for Brandon Echols to get his second career interception with a pretty nice little run back, we might add as well. And Michael Carter II to get in the backfield and to sack the greatest of all time, man. That was pretty cool to see. And it was also pretty cool to see Brandon Echols after the game have Brady sign the ball that he picked off. That's going to be in Brandon Echols' house forever. So that's pretty awesome. And yeah, man, it's nice to see these young guys out there making plays, out there improving, out there being consistently good. These guys are, obviously they're not perfect, but they're consistently out there doing their thing. They're consistently productive, which is great to see. It's great for Robert Saleh. He's got some awesome young pieces to build this defense around. And it's good for Joe Douglas's resume for sure, man. I mean, this year's draft class is really shaping up to be something special, it looks like. It obviously hinges on Zach Wilson and, and the offense. But these young cornerbacks are absolutely killing it. I'll throw Bryce Hall's name in there as well, obviously, because he's just been, playing some really solid ball for us all year. And I'm excited to see what these guys can do in year 3 and year 2 next year. So it's, we have a young secondary to add some pieces around for sure. It's not perfect. But I think we have some young core pieces here that will be productive for us down the line.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway throughout this entire season for the defense, because the defense has been terrible as a unit all season long. The only positive of the defense has been the corners, and the expectations for them were really low, and they exceeded them beyond. And like Brandon Echols, man, like obviously we want to, improve the position next year. We want to draft a corner high in the draft. We want to either go in free agency, but like Echols is kind of like saying, hey, I want to start next year. I got 2 interceptions. I intercepted the GOAT. I have a pick 6. He's been playing really good football. So I don't know what the Jets are going to do. Like knowing Saleh and knowing them, they got to add depth. Like they got to improve. They got to draft another corner, preferably earlier in the draft. But like, it's hard to just put Echols back on the bench based on what he's playing. Like he's a 6th-round rookie. Yes. You can argue that, I think Bryce Hall and Brandon Echols are really 2 different corners. The thing that Bryce Hall lacks, which would take him to become, I think, an elite potential, is his ball hawking skills and his ability to get his head around and locate the football. Like Bryce Hall is phenomenal in the man-to-man coverage. He's always there stride for stride. He rarely gets, the wide receiver. He rarely lets the receiver get any leverage and let them get any ounce of separation or any yardage. But he lacks the ability to like turn around and locate the football and intercept it or do that. I think that would take Bryce Hall's ability to becoming like a potential elite cornerback if he can get his head around on those type of plays. Brandon Echols has shown that he has ball hawking skills. He has a pick 6, and he just picked off Tom Brady. So that's a really big question mark. I think that we can all say with confidence that Michael Carter II is going to start next year at the slot spot, or maybe Brandon Echols will just be our CB3, and we go out there and sign somebody, because we need big time talent on this defense. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, when it comes to the other parts of the defense, the linebackers, safeties, D-line, there's going to be a lot of moving pieces. I think that we got to do a lot of reworks in this offseason. And it's going to be crazy to see, man, what happens, because there's so many things that the Jets can do. And that's where I want to get into, the offseason talk just a little bit. We're not going to get too deep into it because, I'm going to get into that more when the offseason is officially here, which is next Monday, which is pretty crazy. But as we speak right now, the New York Jets have the 4th and 7th overall picks. Wow. We have 2 picks in the top 7. That's absolutely ridiculous. There's so many different ways the Jets can go about this. There's so many positions that we need. So there's going to be a lot of controversy, or a lot of debate rather, heading into this draft. It's so early. My opinion is going to change. So don't quote me on this. Don't go back and say, oh, Richie, you said you wanted this, but now you say this. My opinion is going to change. But right now, I'm in love with this idea. Go heavy defense in the free agency. And with these 4th and 7th picks, you take the best tackle in Evan Neal out of Alabama, and you take the best wide receiver in college football in Williams, and you add even more talent and foundation to this offense. You add Jameson Williams to Elijah Moore and Corey Davis to have the craziest wide receiver trio I think we've ever had. Because Jameson Williams is like unbelievable, and I'm in love with him. He's probably one of my favorite players in the draft. I've been binging all of his highlights in his tape, and he would be ridiculous. He'd be like a Jamar Chase potential on this team. And then after that, we go all defense. Both second-round picks, defense, third-round pick, defense, and then maybe grab a tight end. There's so many different ways, but I feel like this offense has such an awesome foundation with Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, Elijah Vera Tucker, even Mekhi Becton, hopefully if he can come back. Because that's why drafting a guy like Neal, I think, would be beneficial for us, is because of the big question marks surrounding Mekhi Becton. Like, we don't know if his durability is going to hold up. So that's why, Evan Neal's played right tackle in college. He's played left tackle, and he's the best. I wouldn't say he's the best. You can argue there's a lot of different guys out there that could be better than him. But I don't know. That's really where my mindset is. I know that a lot of people want Kyle Hamilton, the safety, the edge rusher, the corner. There's so many different ways, and trust me, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. We're going to be going into so many mock drafts throughout the offseason. So, Jack, what's your opinion in terms of what the Jets should do position-wise? Do you like my approach? Do you rather them take another approach? And just give your overall thoughts about having the 4th and 7th pick and what they can do, because there's so many different ways.
Yeah, man. It's going to be another fun draft because, number one, we have Joe Douglas, and number two, here we are again with 2 draft picks, and there's a million different, potential outcomes for these 2 picks. So what is Joe Douglas going to do? I think I agree with half of your take. I'm definitely down to grab a tackle 4 for sure, or 7, or interchangeable, wherever they fall. I'm definitely down to grab a tackle first. We know Joe Douglas is going to be big on offensive linemen. He's done it 2 years in a row. He wants to build this wall through the draft for sure. That's pretty much how he's going to do it. I think that's, the writing's on the wall with that. The evidence is there. Joe Douglas is going to continue to draft an offensive lineman in the first round, especially if he has 2 picks. So I think that everybody should be getting ready for us to draft an offensive lineman in the first round, honestly, the more that I think about it. But with that second first round pick, you could sell me on a receiver. I definitely don't disagree with you, but with the struggles that we've shown on the defensive side of the ball this year, I think that, and also Joe Douglas's kind of sketchy history in free agency. This year's draft class has been awesome, but Joe Douglas hasn't really hit any great free agent targets yet. We're still waiting for that. So I'm more focused on, with all the draft capital that we have, on bolstering this defense with hopefully an edge rusher, man. One of these edge rushers, one of these first round edge rushers, opposite a healthy Carl Lawson. Please, football gods, give us a healthy Carl Lawson next year. I think that would really take this defense to the next level, because let's not forget what we've all been saying about this defense. It all starts with, getting to the quarterback and getting pressure up front. And then that makes it, easier on the secondary and on the coverage. And I know our cornerbacks have been playing well, but we've been getting absolutely obliterated over the middle of the field and in the screen game. So if we can finally get this pass rush to where it should have been this year, then, I feel like this defense will open up and everything will kind of fall into place and be as it should be, because we know our cornerbacks can ball out. We have faith in those guys. If we pick up a couple of, coverage pieces in the linebacker spot, which I think we definitely will, and then add an edge to that, I think that this defense will really, really come to life, man. And I think that, we might just be an edge rusher and maybe another linebacker away with a healthy Carl Lawson, and another corner from really being a good defense. Obviously you can't fix everything in 1 year. Safety is still a position of concern going forward, but I think that adding an edge rusher with a premium talent like one of these first round guys would be super sweet. If we could just attack the trenches, dude, that would be a Joe Douglas first round, and I'm down for that. So like I said, you could sell me on a receiver for sure, but I would love to go offensive line, edge.
Yeah, I think that's very possible, because You're telling me Joe Douglas in the first round is going to bolster the trenches on both sides of the ball with the 4th and 7th picks? That is so likely. The edge rusher, 4th pick, offensive lineman, 7th pick, or even trading back. Say Douglas wants to get more capital, 7th pick. I'll give it up, move back a couple picks, and they're still the best, one of the best offensive line prospects in the draft available. I'll pick them up. Like I said, there's so many different avenues where the Jets can go, and my opinion is going to switch. Like the more I watch film on all these prospects, like the defense is such a big issue to the point where we need to be able to, bolster and get talent. Where it's like, why can't we have 5 first-round picks? Like, I want to get everyone. I want to do everything. And obviously that's unrealistic. We should be happy with what we have. But then we have 2 second-round picks that are basically like late first-round picks. Like, we technically have 4 first-round picks because our 2 second-round picks are like in the top 7. So it's going to be really crazy to see what happens. I think that we have to get a receiver, at least with those top 4 picks, whether it's going to be in the second round or not. The only reason why I'm just falling in love with the receiver idea, just me personally, and I know a lot of Jets fans are as well, is seeing what the Cincinnati Bengals are doing because they surround Joe Burrow with, like, there was a big controversial take when the Bengals drafted Jamar Chase, if everybody remembers. And they were like, oh, they should have done that. They should have got the O-line, blah, 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 blah. And now Jamar Chase and all 3 of those receivers and Joe Mixon are like just taking over the league. Now they're division champions. And it's just like me envisioning what this Jets team could be with the resurgence of Elijah Moore and all these guys, because I feel like we already paid Corey Davis. We paid a receiver in free agency. I don't really feel comfortable handing out a hefty contract in free agency for the receiver room. I'd rather do it via the draft, but we can also find a gem in the draft like we did with Elijah Moore later in the second round, because that's very possible. There's so many interesting avenues the Jets can go. You can sell me on going defense with the 4th and 7th picks, and then offense the second round. Like, there's so many different ways, and I'm so excited to go into the deep analysis of this offseason. The tight end is a big need. Linebacker is a huge need. Safety. But listen, the thing that gets me so excited about this offseason is that we're going into year number 2 in this system, and Zach Wilson looks like he's making the right progression. And I feel like we just need to continue to add playmakers around him in order for him to take that next step, because we saw what he did yesterday against a top defense without any explosive playmakers outside of Braxton Berrios. And just imagine what he can do with Elijah Moore healthy and Corey Davis healthy, adding another top explosive playmaker, and then re-signing Braxton Berrios to be the 4th receiver and maybe even starting in the slot, rotating in. And then you have Michael Carter entering year number 2, and then you beef up the O-line as well. Like, there's just so many ways, and I'm just so obsessed with this offense because the foundation is there. I just want to keep adding to it because we've never had an offense like this.
You know what it is for me, man? What I realized about the receiver thing is that I'm super salty that Denzel Mims is not our own Jamar Chase. We shouldn't have to think about another receiver. Like Denzel Mims should have been the player that we thought he was going to be, but now it kind of feels like the writing's on the wall with him. And, receiver is definitely, a position that we're going to need to improve on this offseason. I don't know where we're going to do it. I would imagine definitely the draft. I don't know where in the draft. I'm kind of aligned with you in terms of the anti-free agent wide receiver thinking. I would definitely rather us attack it in the draft. I just don't know about the first round personally, but yeah, I'm just salty that Denzel Mims is not our Jamar Chase, man. Because imagine if Denzel Mims was playing at a high level, Elijah Moore is playing at a high level, and call me crazy, but maybe we should be targeting Kenny Yeboah a couple more times this season.
He had a great game.
This guy's out here making plays, and we've been struggling having no-name loser tight ends all year, and here's this guy who comes into the game and he's just productive. So maybe we have a gem in Kenny Yeboah too that'll hopefully, become something. But I would love that. I was scratching my head thinking about that yesterday, man.
No, yeah, I agree. And that Denzel Mims take, that kind of makes me even want to draft the receiver more in the first round, just because Joe Douglas hit on Elijah Moore in the second round. He did not hit on Denzel Mims in the second round. And Denzel Mims was like the 11th receiver drafted, but we were in that draft class. So we were just, I had so much high expectations. He fell to us. We expected him to become a star. And like the reason why I feel like I'm falling in love with the Jets first round pick, it's like we're getting the best receiver in the draft. Like that's Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase was the first receiver drafted last year, and he's playing like that. Elijah Moore was supposed to be a first round pick, and we thought Denzel Mims was supposed to be a first round pick at the time, and we thought he could be what we thought he could be, and obviously it did not pan out, and it's really frustrating. And I'm scared What if Douglas waits to the second round and we draft another Mims? And I'm scared of that because we all thought that he fell to us. And we're like, why are all these teams passing on him? The Jets know something that all these players don't. We traded back and still got him. And hey, we were all wrong. Douglas was wrong. And I think the writing's on the wall with Denzel Mims. And that gives me more like nervousness, like this take Jameson Williams because he's guaranteed a stud. And it makes me really, really scared. But there's so many things that's going to be happening. I love your take on Kenny Yeboah. I feel like he had a very good game yesterday. He only had 2 catches, but those 2 catches were phenomenal. Great throws from Zach Wilson. And we have a big tight end issue, not even just in terms of talent, but injuries. Daniel Brown, who is playing productively, and thank you, Daniel Brown, because we got LDT for free, essentially. Yeah. Like, that was insane. Like, every time I see Daniel Brown out there making a catch, I'm like, thank you, Joe Douglas, because we basically just stole our starting right guard. Which is another thing I want to talk about real quick. What's your thoughts about LDT? He's a free agent. So what's your thoughts about him getting re-signed and being the starting right guard for the Jets next year or potential depth piece? Because it's hard to find a productive right guard in free agency in the draft. He's looking like a very, very good offensive lineman in Darnay Tardif.
Yeah, LDT. Man, I feel like, with LDT, he's not going to cost an arm and a leg to keep on the Jets by any means. He'll have the continuity with AVT. We'll see. That might be the only player he'll have the continuity with going into next season because he hasn't played with Becton, and the offensive line might look very different going into next year. But I think he's obviously been productive. He's a guy that just we plugged him in almost right away, and he was just instantly out there doing his thing, playing at, a starting caliber level. So I feel like, as I said, it's not going to cost an arm and a leg to keep him on the Jets. So why the hell not, man? He's going to have the continuity with AVT on the other side of the center. So you know what? I mean, I feel like it's definitely not a bad move, even if it's, if he doesn't win the job and somebody else was to win the job. I mean, whatever. Either way you slice it, I don't think keeping him on would be a bad thing for the Jets. So yes, I'm all in on that.
Yeah, the offensive line is going to be interesting for the offseason approach because Morgan Moses is a free agent, and George Fant has a player option, or no, I think it's a team option where the Jets can pick it up, and they would have to pay him $10 million. I think George Fant has been probably the most underrated piece to this entire team, this entire season, filling in for Mekhi Becton better than we can ever imagine. And we felt the miss of George Fant when he went down yesterday, as we got a nice donation from Logan, $10. Thank you so much, Logan. Appreciate you, my man. Great fight against the greatest cheater of all time, fellas. Jets played a hell of a game. What are your score predictions against my Bills next week? All right, Logan, you want to hear the score predictions, huh? Logan, I appreciate the donation. Always appreciate your support on the channel. Even though you support your Bills Mafia, you always tune in to Jets Media. It means so much. Thank you so much for the $10 tip. It means a lot. So, Jack, I'll start off with you. We'll give a brief little preview. We're versing the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills are playing for something. The Bills are playing for the division, and it's in Buffalo. The Jets just took the defending Super Bowl champions to the fourth quarter. Do you think the Jets will be competitive in this game at all? What's your score prediction?
I think that this is going to be a very interesting game because, this is going to be similar to the game we saw yesterday, honestly. It's another good team that is, definitely expecting playoffs this year, but, still fighting. And I think that with the Bills, they've kind of been, they've had an up and down year, obviously. So they obviously, Logan, I'm sure you thought that you were going to have your division on the lockdown this year. Nobody expected the Patriots to become the team they've become.
Oh, the Dolphins too.
Yeah, later, of course.
Later, Dolphins.
Yeah, the Dolphins. But I feel like, with the Bills, it's that's what I was going to mention, Rich, because I'm glad you said it. They have something they're playing for. So it's not just going to be like, a walk in the park game for the Buffalo Bills by any means either. So this is going to be a hard fought game, a hard fought division game. It's in Buffalo. So that's not going to be to our advantage.
It's going to be sold out, snow probably.
Yeah, I'm going to be predicting a Bills victory. I mean, how can I not predict a Bills victory?
So what's the score prediction?
Score prediction? I don't know, man. I think it's going to be like I said, a tough fought, maybe a more defensive game than we're expecting. 24-21.
I'll take it.
Dude,
I'll take a competitive loss.
We just lost in the last seconds to the defending Super Bowl champions and the greatest of all time. I think that's a fair prediction. If we can keep this momentum going, what's the status on Elijah Moore? Are we going to see him before this year
We'll find out Wednesday. That's
really
what we'll find out
for that, dude.
Please.
Really pulling for that. Like that would just be nice. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are saying, "No, what are you talking about? Don't risk him getting hurt. Just keep him until next season." I don't know, man. I want to go out with something to feel happy about, to feel, good about going into next year.
Like, imagine he comes back last game of the year, 2 touchdowns, 150 yards.
Come on, man. Come on.
I would not be able to survive the entire offseason.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, my gosh. So, my score prediction, Logan, is the Jets getting the dub, okay? We're coming off almost beating the GOAT, and we're going to, unfortunately, force the Buffalo Bills to lose the division, and the Jets will get their first division victory of the season, and it's going to be a hard-fought match. Zach Wilson's going to have, not as good of a game as last week. He's going to probably throw an interception in this one, unfortunately. And but I think the Jets still get the job done. I think the Jets win because you know what? We're going into the last week of the season, and I just want to go in with optimism. I don't know why. Yeah. Listen, the Jets are probably going to lose, like realistically, but hey, screw it. Jets going to win. Final score, 21-17 Jets. Sorry, Logan. We're ending your AFC East division champion unless the Patriots lose, and you'll still get it. But listen, I have no idea what to expect, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited, but I'm also sad because I know some people are like, oh, thank you. The season's over. The Jets season's over. But like, I don't know. Even though I love going live during the games, it's so fun, and like I love being in the season. But at the same time, I love the offseason because I feel like, especially with the draft capital that we have, like the mock drafts is going to be so fun, even way more fun than last year because we're going to have 2 picks in the top 10. We're going to have 2 picks early in the second round. Like this is going to be a really fun offseason to be a Jets fan. And I think after Joe Douglas coming off that draft class last year, I mean, how can you not be excited? Am I right?
Yep. Yeah, man. It's we're approaching the best time to be a Jets fan. So
unfortunately,
it's yeah.
And I'm gonna set the bar high for the Jets' expectations next year. I'm not gonna give them a playoff mandate, but what I will say is the expectations should be we're playing December football that counts, and we're in the hunt. Like for example, like the Dolphins season, week 17 they get eliminated. Like if we're in the hunt in December, and we finish with 8 wins or something like that, that's a huge improvement. I think that this is a really important all season for us. And I think it's going to be and obviously we have to stay healthy. I mean, we can't have a season like we did this year with health. And if we want to be a competitive team, and that just comes with luck and just proper training. And
it's so frustrating because that's like the biggest variable of them all. And it's just like, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. It's like, oh, Carl Lawson won't play a snap this year. Cool.
That was the biggest buzzkill as a Jets fan in so long.
In the longest time, dude.
Training camp, we're just getting Carl Lawson sacked. Carl Lawson going to be the best thing that's ever happened. We're just, oh my God, we're in Green Bay. We're versing Aaron Rodgers in training camp. Oh, guess what? He's carted off the field and he's out for the entire year before he can be on the field once.
Mekhi Becton. Oh, that's a fluke injury. Like, hopefully he's back in a couple weeks.
I'll never forget that moment. I was in Carolina, in Charlotte, at the game. It was if you guys remember opening day, it was just a really rough game for the offense. In the second half, Zach Wilson finally gets his first touchdown of his career. I'm going crazy next to my dad, and I'm wearing a Mekhi Becton jersey, and I'm just going wild. And if you remember, that first touchdown from Zach Wilson was the play Mekhi went down. And a Panthers fan behind me tapped me on my back. Your man's down, man. Your guy's down. And at first I thought he meant Zach Wilson. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? He's like, your guy's on the turf. Look. And then I saw number 77 on the turf. And I'm like, oh. And then it just went from like the awesome Zach Wilson first touchdown moment to like our left tackle's down. And then I see him get carted off. And in my head, I'm like, that's a season-ending injury. And then we find out it's not going to be, but it is. Thanks for – she just told us from the get-go it was. But yeah, that was a buzzkill. Shout out to Greg Van Roten for ending. And I think that's why Joe Douglas went out there and got LDT. He's like, Greg, you're trash. You literally destroyed my first round pick's knee, and you are getting benched, and you are in a disgrace to this franchise. Even though that he did step up last week and have a pretty good game, but screw you, GVR. I'm never gonna give you any credit because of that.
He injured his first ever pick as a Jets GM
in the first game. We couldn't have 4 quarters of AVT and Mekhi Becton getting chemistry.
Oh my God.
Like what's good? Like, it's not like Mekhi Becton isn't a good player. Like, if you look at the tape, Mekhi Becton was dominating pretty much his entire rookie season, which is pretty rare for a tackle as a rookie. His problem is, and I think we all knew that when we drafted him, is his durability. And hopefully he gets the proper training and luck can go in his favor, and he can stay healthy. You know, there's really nothing else you can say about Mekhi Becton other than that. You know, the availability is a crucial part to being an NFL player, and he's just not shown that so far this year. And, you know, the offensive line is going to be interesting to see what happens in this offseason. So, guys, to finish off the stream, we're going to open this up to a Jets Q&A. So if you guys want to ask Jack and myself any questions, feel free to do so. And if you guys want me to answer any calls, I'll do that as well. If you guys want to come in here and talk to Jack and I, we'll do that as well. So anything regarding the Jets, whether it's the game yesterday or the Jets-Bills game coming up, Zach Wilson, Robert Saleh, LaFleur, whatever you guys want to talk about, let's hear it.
Let's get it. We got some Brady fans in here, or a Brady fan. All right.
Yeah, man. I'm going to be so sad when the season's over, but so excited at the same time. Because, like, the thing that always frustrates me when the season's over, it's like, we got to wait 4 months for the draft. It's not like the draft is just right around the corner.
I know. And then it's like the deadness of June and July.
Yeah. And then training camp picks up finally.
Even May too. The total deadness of May, June, and July. There's just nothing going on for 3 months. And then all the training camp hype, and then who's going to get injured? That's just what it comes.
So scary.
That's just what it's come down to in my mind every year. It's like, oh, cool, this guy flashed today. When's he gonna get hurt? How long is he out for? Just tell me now. Just tell me that he's not gonna play this year right now, so that I don't hear anymore about how dominant he's been in camp.
So we got a first question. How much are we willing to pay Braxton Berrios?
Max contract.
Yeah, like $50 million per or something. More than Mahomes' contract. Money. Yeah, no, but in all seriousness, I think Berrios has proved to not only be a depth piece, but to be a starter. Like, he's been one of the best receivers in the league ever since he got the opportunity to play. And he doesn't have a one drop this year. He's not only a receiver, but he's a great special teams player. He's a great locker room presence. Everybody loves him in the locker room. Every fan loves him. I think that this is a priority. And the Jets, Joe Douglas made a mistake at the time of letting Robbie Anderson walk out the door. Remember, we all wanted to re-sign him at the time. He didn't do it. And then Robbie Anderson balled out that year, even though that right now he hasn't really done anything. So, all right, Joe Douglas, congrats. But still, learn from your mistake. Joe Douglas owned up to letting Robbie Anderson walk out the door, even though at the time it seemed like that. But now I'm like, all right, I'm happy we didn't give him that contract. But Braxton Berrios could be like a really important part to this offense, because the amount of times he's in motion and the ball's being handed off to him. And listen to this stat, Jack. You probably saw it yesterday. But first Jets player in Jets history to have a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown in the same game. Like, he's just doing it all for the Jets. He's got toughness. He's got smarts. And I would love him to be, wide receiver 4 and being subbed in as a starting wide receiver next year. Like, the ideal receiving corps for me is drafting a receiver early in the draft and then having that rookie receiver with Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, and Braxton Berrios as the top 4. The money is always a big issue because I don't know. I don't know how much Braxton Berrios' agent's going to demand and how much he thinks his value is. But, hey, free agency, unfortunately, the reality is you got to overpay for players at times. It's the reality. You're going to overpay. The Jets will be overpaying players in the free agency. Overpay Braxton. He deserves it. I don't know what the money is, but Braxton needs to be back on this team next year. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. What's your thoughts about Braxton Berrios?
I think that he's just totally proved his worth and his value. And I think that his value is to 100% be in the mix for, a starting job. 100%. He's extremely, extremely reliable. That's the word that comes to my mind the most when I think about Braxton. Is just reliable.
On third down.
Dude, you literally took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say, especially on third down, in the clutch moments, in those crucial moments, he just comes up every time. And that's that's all you can ask for from any player, but especially somebody who's going to be, getting the ball thrown to them, who's going to be, gaining you yards. Braxton Berrios he's a dude, man. He's a dog. He's a beast. Whatever word you want to use to describe him, valedictorian, man. He's so I just think he's a very important player to re-sign. He's great for the culture. He's experienced at this point. And I think that, it would be a damn shame to let him walk this offseason.
Some people are saying that a report came out that they are in contract talks. Is that true? I saw the U Stadium report. Is that what you're referring to? But if there's other report from other people. Oh, no, yeah, they're just talking about U Stadium's report. Okay. They've been right on things and wrong on things, so hopefully that's right, because I would love for them to get him extended now before he hits the open market, because then that's where all the bidding wars start to happen. Let's see, any other questions? Edward says exactly, Richie, especially moving forward. Yeah, and Braxton Berrios, another big thing that I always preach on this channel. You always hear me use the word continuity, and chemistry. Zach Wilson has got a chemistry with Braxton. They got a great friendship. Zach, did you see Zach Wilson's tweet today, Jack? He literally tweeted Braxton Berrios appreciation tweet. And it's just a awesome video of Braxton being a dog. That's sick. Our quarterback is appreciating Braxton. And then Braxton Berrios quote tweets it, calling him a king or whatever. It's cool to see our quarterback appreciate Braxton. And Woody Johnson keeps posting stuff about Braxton. So it'd be a damn shame, if he doesn't get extended here. That needs to be for sure.
I really like what's going on in the building right now, within the organization. It seems like these players are really enjoying playing with each other and playing for Robert Saleh. And it seems like Robert Saleh, although it has been, overall another pretty freaking rough year for us Jets fans. We can't lie, but, it feels like the culture of this team is really starting to change. It did not feel that way ever for a single second with Adam Gase as the head coach. And it does feel that way with Robert Saleh. And that's extremely important, man. The fact that after a loss, these guys can look at the positives, and, Zach Wilson can, appreciate his receiver, and, his receiver can appreciate his quarterback for the plays that they did go out there and make that led to them, having a damn good chance at winning that game against the defending Super Bowl champions and the greatest quarterback to ever suit up. Greatest player to ever suit up in Tom Brady. So, I mean, these guys have a lot to be proud of after yesterday, and it's good to know that they realize that, and hopefully it gives them momentum heading into Buffalo, heading into the offseason, heading into next season, because, this year was supposed to be about development. We're finally seeing the development of Zach Wilson. We've seen the development of Braxton Berrios, of Elijah Moore, of Elijah Vera Tucker, of Brandon Eccles, of Bryce Hall, of Michael Carter II, of countless players. So I think that it's, all in all, that developmental year that we wanted. So, it's good to see these guys with their heads held high after a loss, because it was not a bad loss. It was a good loss. And I think it's something to build on moving forward.
Exactly. Very well said. There's so many things to be excited about. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but maybe Mike LaFleur will be a future head coach. I mean, if this offense explodes next year, I wouldn't be shocked if he's getting interviewed for head coaching gigs. I remember earlier in the season, we're like, oh, we all thought he could be a head coach in a couple of years, and he sucks. And now we're here again. You never know, man. He has the LaFleur name, and he's developing into probably the best offensive coordinator in a while in terms of his creative, minds. That first touchdown of the game was just he just pulls plays out that I've never seen before. Just like a direct snap to Michael Carter, a quick end around to Braxton. Braxton has a decision to make to either throw it to Wilson or take it. He makes the right read because the cornerback went to cover Wilson. He runs it in. Like, that was just a beautiful play call. Like, why is Mike LaFleur in his bag all of a sudden? Is it the booth? Like, what is it?
Like, I think it could be the booth, man.
I love it, man.
Booth LaFleur. It's post-COVID Salah. It's Booth LaFleur.
Yeah. Braxton Berrios is a quadruple threat. Kick return, punt return, wide receiver. Never missed a game. Very good point. Durability. Like, I remember the first game of the season, he led the Jets in receptions. Like, and that he had that crazy reception on 4th down. And everyone's like, oh, Berrios, like, what's going on? Like, why isn't anybody else doing anything? Well, little do we know, Berrios is an absolute stud, and he needs to be part of this entire future of this team.
He does.
Any other questions in the chat?
He's earned his respect for sure, man. Because I've always like, you know, not hated on Berrios, but I've always just been like, all right, like, he didn't work out for the New England Patriots. So, like, what are we doing with this little guy? Like, can we get somebody else in there? But he's just proved his worth time and time over. So he's definitely earned a spot on the future of this team. Not that it's, you know, a crazy hard task or you know, not that it's a great accomplishment to be, you know, to work out for the Jets as opposed to a historically great team like the Patriots. But Braxton is just that type of player that we need. He's that dude. He's that culture guy, Mr. Reliable. He's just fantastic. I love what that dude just said. Quadruple threat, never miss a game. Runner, receiver, punt returner. He's killing it, man. He's killing it. Killing it.
All right, this is the ideal contract I just came up with. 3 years, $22.5 million. That comes to $7.5 million per year. Make it happen.
Down.
Or 4 years, and then make it 4 years. Why not? You know, screw it. He does everything. Give him $8 million or $9 million. Like, it's not just a receiver. He does everything, and he's reliable and he's durable. After the season, when will you do the first mock draft? The first mock draft will be coming out next week. I've been doing a lot on my own, studying this draft class, trying to get a good understanding of, you know, the strengths of the draft class, the weaknesses that the Jets have, where they need to go about. I've been doing a lot on my own, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. You excited for mock draft season? Because I am.
I am, dude. It is gonna be a lot of fun. It's you know, it's always a fun change up, and you can make it a different one every time, and all the trading up and trading down, and it's fun. It's fun.
We're always wrong every time, but hey.
Yeah, if we go back to last year, we were confident that we were going to get Jose Borregales and Ben Mason, two guys that never even sniffed the New York Jets. And
we got our guy AVT, though.
We did, dude. That's crazy. That's crazy. Because
that was like our crush.
You knew exactly what we were doing when we traded up for that. Like, you knew exactly who we were taking. Like, oh,
yeah, right when we saw the Jets on the clock at 14, we looked at each other. We're like, no. Is it happening? Is it happening? Because
that was awesome.
We knew that it was a long shot. And every single time we did a mock draft, we're like, yeah, AVT, he's our draft crush, but it's not going to happen realistically. But he needs to be a Jet, but it's not going to happen. It happened. Who's that going to be for us this year? Is Aiden Hutchinson going to fall to 4?
Down.
Snag him up.
Down.
Hey, Hutchinson and Lawson. What's up? Richie, what do you think about CJ Mosley going forward? CJ's interesting, Edward. You know, he has a career high in tackles. He has 4 straight games of 10-plus tackles. He's having probably one of the most productive games statistically wise as a Jets linebacker in a very long time. I think he actually has the second most tackles by any linebacker in Jets history this season. Crazy.
That's crazy.
Because if you look at the defense, you know, we just suck in coverage over the middle. We can't defend anything, crossing routes, tight ends over the middle. It's just frustrating. I think CJ's under contract for another like 2 or 3 years. So he's not going anywhere unless the Jets want to move on from him and get cap flexibility. But I think it would be a mistake to move on from CJ. It's not like we have to re-sign him or anything. It's not like we have to do anything. He's under contract for another, like, I believe 2 or 3 years. We signed him to a 5-year deal. Maybe the Jets can negotiate, say, hey, CJ, like, we want to restructure your contract, give us more cap flexibility since you weren't here for 2 years. But I think CJ needs to be here moving forward. He's a leader. He's He's a great culture guy. He's a great guy to, for the young defensive people to look up to. I think CJ's been a dog for us this year. I really do. He obviously hasn't been perfect in coverage, but he's been an excellent tackler, and he's just the brains. He's the brains of the D. I think that he needs to be here next year for sure. He's under contract, What do you think about CJ this year, Jack?
I agree with all the points you made, man. It's tough to nail down what you really think of him, because you look at the stats, you're like, oh my God, he's an absolute tackling machine. He's extremely productive. But then again, he's the leader and the anchor of the worst defense that we've seen from the Jets in a long, long time, statistically speaking. So, he's, failing from his leadership point of view, but as an individual, he's performing. So it's tough. All I can say is I hate Mike McCagnon for giving him the contract that he gave him. Because it's, he's a player who's just really tough to nail down your long-term thoughts on. I guess it's just a matter of putting more effective pieces around him, I guess. The linebacker core around him could use a full-on revamp for sure. I like Quincy Williams for sure. As a, and I'm going to say for sure a million times, I guess. But I like Quincy Williams for sure. But, I think he's got a ways to go in terms of his development as a full-on, reliable, all-around linebacker, He's got his things that he's good at, and he's got his things that he's not good at. He needs to improve on those things that he's not good at. So I feel like we're definitely going to be, getting some more linebackers in the group this offseason. So I'm excited to see if that can elevate this defense, because CJ Mosley is playing at a high level, but nobody else around him in his position group really is on a consistent basis enough to alter the game and to help us get off the freaking field as a defense and stop giving up these horribly long drives that just gas our defense out. So it's tough, man. CJ's got some stuff to improve on himself. So we'll see what happens.
No doubt. Now, this is a really good question right here. Who should the Jets bring back in terms of our own free agency? Now, this is going to be really interesting. I'm scared for this because obviously we're not going to be able to bring everybody back. So, Jack, I'm going to list the pending free agents, and you're going to say yes or no in your eyes in terms of should they bring back. Obviously, they're not going to re-sign all of them. They're going to let a lot of them walk, right? So,
for sure,
who should the Jets bring back? Is that the question?
What free agents currently on the team are the Jets most likely to target? So, yeah.
Okay. Marcus May.
Wow, you really hit me with a tough one right off the bat.
He's coming off a ruptured Achilles. I say if we can get him to a cheap contract, yes. But, we need safety help desperately. And he wasn't – I don't know. It's tough.
It's tough to say no because we do need safety help. You're exactly right. But, number one, he was having a pretty poor season before he got hurt. And, number two, he's coming off of one of the worst injuries you can get in Achilles. So, I don't know. I'm leaning more towards no.
Jamison Crowder.
I love Jameson. I have nothing but good things to say about him for his time as a Jet, but I think that time has come to an end. So no.
I agree. He did very, very great things in his 3-year contract.
Love him. He was a bright spot when we were at our worst. So love Jameson, but I think his time is over.
It's Braxton Berrios' time. That's what it is. Larnay Duvernay Tardif.
We already touched on this. Yes, I think he's not going to cost much to bring back at all. And he's proved his worth so far as a starter. And like you said before, Rich, it's not an easy position to go out and find a good starting caliber player. And I think we've kind of found that maybe in LDT. And even if it's just, a great, competition for somebody else to get the job over in camp, I think that having him is not a bad thing. So yes.
I think this is an easy one. Jared Davis.
No.
Later.
See you, Jared.
Have a good free agency. Keelan Cole.
No.
I think it could be a latering.
Yeah, I think it's a latering. I think that it's not like he didn't get his number called this year. And I feel like he's not much he can go up and make a contested catch, but there's so much more in today's NFL than just mossing people. That era is kind of on its way out almost, and now it's just how quick and precise you are through your routes and the separation you can get from people. So I feel like Keelan Cole, not that productive.
Drops a lot of
catches.
And has a lot of crucial drops this past couple weeks.
Later for Keelan.
I agree. Morgan Moses. See, this is tough because
what's the status on George Fant? Is he a free agent?
No, he's back. I think it's a team option, so the Jets will probably pick up his option. We're going to be paying him $10 million. But the Jets, if they wanted to, can move on from him and save $10 million in cap space. So, like, you can see why the Jets would move on for him for cap. But at the same time, Fant is coming off such a great year, and he's also injured right now. So hopefully, that knee is not
but
too.
So is Becton.
Yeah, exactly.
And if Becton's not available, and Fant has had the year that he had, and Joe Douglas is in love with offensive linemen, I think Fant gets his $10 million after the year he had this year for us.
I agree.
I think it would be silly not to. So I think that who were we talking about?
Morgan Moses.
Morgan Moses.
I think he might ask for quite a lot. That scares me, Morgan, because a tackle like that hitting the open market, that's the only thing. Like, I would love Morgan back.
Yeah, I feel like we could. I mean, it all depends on Joe Douglas's hidden secret evil plans for the draft, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he knows who he's got his eye on already. Maybe he's got his eye on Neal. So if Neal is all of a sudden in the picture, then we definitely don't need to pay Morgan Moses big money. So we'll let Morgan Moses walk. So that's kind of tough. That really hinges on the draft. But I'm leaning towards no.
Yeah, especially based on the price. And I think we can agree George Fant is better than Morgan Moses. So we giving Fant $10 million. We don't have to give another $10+ million to Morgan Moses when we have Becton already. We don't need to pay that much money to 3 tackles when you only need 2. Dan Feeney. Is he proving to be a depth guy? Because we all thought he was trash.
A depth guy, yeah. Yes. Depth guy. Yep, sure.
And like cool mullet and mustache in the locker room,
dude.
Crushing beers at Islander games.
I was gonna say he slams beers at the at Islanders games at the Coliseum.
I mean, listen, Dan Feeney last week started at left guard, and the Jets rushed for 273 yards. And this past week he started at center, and they rushed for 150 yards.
He's a menace player right there, man.
He's a menace in the run game. And like the pass game, not so much, but the run game, he's a monster. Like, there was a block yesterday that I saw him do it, and I was like on my live, like, oh my gosh, Dan Feeney at center. What a play. Like, I've never seen him like be a beast. So depth purposes, cheap contract, get it done.
And then there was that low snap in crucial time.
That was big.
So that's why it's depth for Feeney.
And he's not a center. He's a backup guard.
Yeah.
We need a backup center.
It's depth for Feeney, but it's a yes.
Yeah. Joe Flacco. Nah, because it's Joe Flacco and Mike White are free agents. I think we re-sign Mike White.
Yeah.
LaMarcus Joyner, we literally don't even know if he exists. He got injured the first game of the season.
Nah, LaMarcus Joyner is not a New York Jet.
Yeah, Tyler Kroft.
See, because like, I don't know. I feel like if we kept him, it would give us an excuse to just ignore the tight ends for another year.
Yeah.
Like we need tight ends and we need them now. So like a guy like Tyler Kroft.
Who I want to sign in free agency is Dalton Schultz from Dallas.
That I would love. He's a playmaker for sure. He's
and then draft one. And then there you go. You got 2 new tight ends.
And then it's Yeboah, who we've just ignored.
And
for
Yeboah.
whatever reason.
And then this next guy who is also a tight end, who's a free agent, Connor McDermott.
Oh, he's a receiving threat. He's like, Mike Gesicki, can't quite call him a tight end, but he's a receiving threat. No, I'm obviously kidding. I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess for depth purposes, yeah. I mean, none of these depth guys
it's tough to decide about the depth guys
financially. So yeah, I guess if we're gonna keep Feeney and we're gonna draft Evan Neal in this scenario, I don't know if we need Connor McDermott. I don't know. That's like, who cares?
Sure.
You know.
Yeah,
It's
who
like,
cares?
yeah.
Yeah, like it's one of those depth guys. It's like we can do without him. We can probably replace him easily. Now, this next one is actually a really, really interesting player. He's a veteran, and I think he was very productive. But do the Jets want to go younger or keep the veteran? Tevin Coleman.
Listen, man, Tevin Coleman at this point in his career, he's, you know, you're not gonna be paying him a lot of money. He's not gonna hurt the cap at all by remaining a Jet. If you look at the course of Tevin Coleman's career, he's been in this same offensive scheme wherever he's been. And I was shocked at how productive he's been whenever he was given the opportunity to touch the ball this year. So
Sure.
I think for his, you know, his knowledge of this offense, for his veteran leadership abilities, and for his performance on the field, I would say yes.
Me too. I agree. I think we should re-sign Coleman, draft another running back, and go into this training camp with a rookie, Michael Carter, year number 2, Coleman as a veteran, and then Ty Johnson as like the running back number 4.
Yep. I agree with that completely.
Who's next?
P. Ryan? Later.
Yeah. Latering. Supposed to be for the gay system. Boop, boop. And he's trash. So now we're getting – oh, so I didn't realize. Who's next? Nathan Shepard later. That's a quick no. Jeff Smith. I think he could be a latering.
I think it's a latering.
Yeah.
For Shepard and Smith.
Latering. Sure. Is that even a word? Mike White, I think we said we should bring him back. Now, here's a galvanizing one. Uh-oh. Eddie Pinheiro. Is he our kicker for the future? 51-yarder. Perfect yesterday.
I mean, he kind of just fell into our lap, this guy. Yeah. So, like, I mean, we clearly have the worst luck of all time when it comes to finding kickers. So if we've got one, you know, I'll use an old expression. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So let's ride this Eddie Pinheiro wave until it crashes, and then, you know, we'll assess afterwards. But I think Eddie Pinheiro is obviously down to get paid and remain as a kicker in the NFL. So let's do it.
Yeah, I think that we re-sign Eddie and then we bring in another kicker through undrafted free agency or free agency and have a kicking competition. And the Jets just actually claimed a tackle just now, Greg Sennett. I think that might tell you that George Fant might not be available next week, unfortunately, for the finale. So
I feel like I've heard that name before, Greg.
Yeah, he was drafted by Cleveland and he played for the Cowboys 10 games last year.
Okay, cool.
So Greg Sennett, the newly acquired New York Jet. Javelin Guidry.
No.
Tim Ward, no. Now, these next 3 are interesting. I mean, 2 of the 3. Well, one of them we've talked about this entire stream in Braxton Berrios. We all know that one. Yes. Now, this one, I think, is a big, big time question mark. He's a captain on the team. He's been out with COVID. Yesterday, his first game back in a while, and he absolutely dominated. And that was Foley Fatukasi. So Foley is the run-stuffing guy on this D-line. The Jets' defensive line has been, you know, very inconsistent this year. And the running game, my take on it is if you can bring back Foley on a friendly deal, yes. If he's looking for it to get paid, then you let him walk.
I agree. I'm not going to differ much from your train of thought there. I feel like, you know, if he's going to ask for way too much money, nah. But if he's going to, you know, take a more reasonable contract offer, then yes, I like his leadership abilities. I love him as a run stuffer. You know, obviously the defensive line, I feel like at this point with one game left, we can just flat out say these guys underperformed as a unit this year for sure. And, you know, Foley as a captain of the team, you know, as one of the, you know, anchors of that defensive line, he's got to be held accountable like everybody else. So I feel like, you know, he's definitely a player that I want to remain as a Jet, but I understand where your head's at, saying where if he's asking for way too much money, then we let him walk, because I don't know if he'd be in a position to do that though after the season that we just had, So I feel like things will probably work out with him. I really do.
Word. And then the last guy is Kyle Phillips. If we can bring him back for depth, so be it. I don't think he's going to be that expensive. I think Kyle Phillips flashed this year in his limited time. He wasn't available for the first half of the year. So more depth, the better. And one guy that's not a free agent, but he's eligible for a contract extension this year, which is a big time negotiation and debate amongst Jets fans, is Quinnen Williams. So if you're the Jets, would you go out there and try to re-sign him to a contract? Because if you don't re-sign him this year, then it's either we pick up his fifth-year option or he's going to be a free agent after next year. So do you think Quinnen Williams deserves to get paid? Or do you think that we let him go into year number 4 without an extension?
I think that it would probably be the smartest move to pay him now because he could absolutely.
So you believe in Quinnen to develop, because he's still only, I think, 24, to develop into a beast.
I do.
I agree.
I do 100%. I think that Quinnen needs a Carl Lawson to be out there with him in order to really free Quinnen up to be the monster that he is, because Quinnen's sack numbers and pressure numbers for a defensive tackle are always amazing. He's really one of the better defensive tackles in the league in terms of getting to the quarterback. And I feel like he just needs more talent on the edge in order for it to free him up in the middle, because obviously the pressure is designed to come from the edge, but if you got such a talented guy like Quinnen Williams who can just get to the quarterback from right up the gut, I think that Quinnen Williams definitely has the potential to be that player that we all want him to be. The numbers are kind of there already, with Quinnen. He's a good player, man. He really is a good player. And I think that next year we're gonna see it even more so with Carl Lawson back out there and the edge rusher that I'm manifesting us to draft in the first round. So I think it's gonna be fun to watch, and I think we pay Quinnen while his value is not sky high, because he's the type of player that could after a huge year next year could garner a lot of money in free agency. So.
Yeah, it would be interesting because we gave JFM an extension, and I think if you give Quinn an extension, then you're locking up those two men to develop within the system for a while, and you still got Lawson under contract for another 2 years. Obviously, we want to draft an edge rusher. We're not going to get an edge rusher in the free agency again because we're already paying Carl Lawson $15 million per year. So I'm on the same boat. I think you re-signed Quinnen Williams. His value's at a low right now because of his. It's not like he didn't play well this year. It's just like, nothing really went in his favor in terms of the COVID. He hasn't played the past couple of weeks because of that. Hopefully he can be back this week. But I think there is a strong possibility that Quinnen himself personally wants to play out his 4th year so he can get paid a little bit more. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets go up to him and say, hey, we want to extend you. And he said, nah, you know what? I don't want an extension right now. I trust my abilities. I want to go out there in year number 4 and prove that I'm worth more than you're offering. So curious to see what happens there. But, a lot of decisions to be made from the Jets front office this offseason. So, guys, we're going to wrap up the stream here. It was a great talk with Jack, dissecting everything from the Jets game yesterday, dissecting what's going to happen in this offseason. There's so much content coming here on Jets Media. It's unbelievable all throughout the offseason, whether it's mock drafts, mock free agency, mock trades. There's so much stuff. If you guys are not subscribed, make sure you do so. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers. If you guys want to help me out, make sure you do so and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And also, before you guys leave the stream, please hit that like button. We got around 59 likes with just over 100 people watching. So if we can get around 100 likes before the stream is up, I greatly appreciate it. It takes 2 seconds. Just hit that thumbs up button. And also, guys, it really does help out the channel a lot as well. If you want to support me and you support me as a content creator, if you can just go down in the description, click on the DraftKings Sportsbook link. It's free to join and use my code JetsMedia and get that app ready. So when New York does get legal for sports betting, you can use my code and you can use it. And, if you're into sports betting, if you're not even into sports betting, It would mean a lot if all you got to do is download the app and use my code. And if you do so, I'll give you a shout out on the channel because it really does mean a lot by just downloading that app and using my code Jets Media. So, Jack, anything you want to say before we end off the stream? This is a really long one. We got into a lot of stuff.
Yeah, this was fun, man. This was a good time. Really enjoyed myself. Thank you, as always, for hosting, my man, and for having me on. And thank you to everybody in the chat for giving us your questions and for hanging out with us for an hour and a half, man. It was a really fun stream today. And we will be back next week, same time, same place, to talk about the Jets' victory over the Buffalo Bills. That's right, the Jets' victory over the Buffalo Bills. Changing my opinion from before. Come at me. The Jets are winning.
Is that what you're going to write in the Touchdown Kingdom prediction?
No.
Yeah, guys, if you want to hear our take on this week coming up, check out TD Kingdom. You guys already know what's good with that. So, all right, guys, love you all. Let's go Jets. One more game left, and then we're on to the offseason. Peace out, everybody.
Peace out.